Well, tonight the City of Alexandria held a City Council meeting where they discussed plans to adopt adjusted millage rates. Jay McCulley was at the City Council meeting, has the outcome. Jay, what did you learn?
Johnny, during the nearly 2-hour meeting, residents voiced their concerns on a wide variety of topics related to the millage items on tonight's agenda. After it was over, I spoke with one resident who says she wasn't happy with the outcome.
Y'all running this thing like a dictatorship, like Russia and China.
Residents at the August 20 council meeting let their feelings be known that they were upset about the City of Alexandria millage notice that says the city will consider levying additional or increased millage rates without further voter approval.
Why not get the voters' approval for this millage? This council, this administration is supposed to be upfront and transparency. There is none.
Mayor Jacques Roy said he understands residents' concerns after reading the agenda himself.
It's just terribly, distractingly convoluted language.
Councilman at large Lee Rubin explains why voter approval was not needed.
All this does is reaffirm that millage that they'd already voted for. So there's no reason for them to vote for it again. The only change is that the properties involved have had a small change in their assessed value.
Every 4 years, the Louisiana Tax Commission reassesses the property tax. With adjusted millage rates on the agenda, some residents were concerned their taxes would be raised. District 1 Police Juror Jay Scott took to the podium to address those concerns.
Would you agree that now, having heard that, you're not increasing their taxes, but you would be giving them the benefit? In other words, if you roll forward, it's the millage where y'all would have been. By doing that, it's just less money to have to pay.
Yes.
Okay.
In a unanimous vote, the council voted yes on agenda item number 9 to adopt the adjusted millage rates. Item number 10 says to set forth the adjusted millage rates and roll forward to millage rates not exceeding maximum authorized rates. It passed with a 5-2 vote, with Councilman Johnson and Councilwoman Perry voting no. According to the agenda, the estimated amount of tax revenue to be collected next year from the millage is just over $11.5 million. Councilman Rubin says it was imperative for the adjusted millage rates to pass.
We would have had to, lay off employees and all kinds of things. That's a major part of our budget. So, you don't have you can't vote against that. If you do, it's going to shut city operations down.
Another topic residents are concerned about is what they say is the city's lack of communication.
Because there's no communication. And it's just sad. A lot of people don't get the town talk. A lot of people ain't on the internet. So how the heck we gonna know what's going on?
Councilman Rubin says the council follows the law, which requires them to advertise in the Journal of Record twice within the previous 30 days. He says the Alexandria Town Talk has been the Journal of Record for many years. The current millage rate is 24.54. Councilman Rubin says it will stay at that amount. According to the Rapides Parish Assessor's Office, eligible seniors and disabled veterans may qualify for a freeze on their property tax. For more information, you can find that on our website at klb.com. Johnny?